Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In this video, we're going to use the level 99 coffee drinking cup to talk about which stocks we might want to consider buying in the event that Joe Biden's infrastructure plan does actually pass. Obviously, Joe Biden has introduced his infrastructure plan today, or at least part one of it, the actual infrastructure part, not the social infrastructure part. And the actual infrastructure part calls for billions upon billions of dollars, 2.25 trillion in total, with a lot of money going to EV incentives, tax credits, solar incentives, incentives for creating up to 500,000 charging stations, electrifying the federal fleet of vehicles, electrifying school buses, folks, you name it. And in this video, my goal is to provide an outline of potentially which stocks you might want to look into. Now, this is not going to be an epic deep dive on every single one because otherwise this video would be 2 or 3 hours long. Maybe we'll do individual analyses on these if you'd like that. I'd gladly do that. Now, let me know down in the comments. But for now, I'm going to give you an overview so we can get started. The first way I like to get started is by talking about, obviously, electric vehicle chargers. Here's the thing. When it comes to electric vehicle chargers, a lot of them kind of still suck right now. And what I found the best thing to do is, and at least what's worked well for me, is just buying a basket of chargers. So think of it kind of like an index fund or an exchange-traded fund, but just for charging companies. Now, I used M1 Finance to put this together, so they don't let me use everything, but or put every kind of possible charging stock that's available in here. But I was able to put a good chunk in, and so what I did is on Monday, which was arguably the bottom of the market for charging stocks. We'll just call that luck. But anyway, I put $100,000 into the chargers, and on a pie of 6 stocks, I'm up $13,000 in 2 days, which is awesome and certainly no guarantee of future performance. But hey, I mean, I'll take 13 grand on 100 grand in 2 days. That's awesome. But I think this has a whole lot more room to grow, specifically because a lot of these names are pretty darn sold off from their highs. I would say somewhere between 20 to 35% off their highs on all of these, which means, in my opinion, these got a long potential way to go. Now, sure, some like ChargePoint may have been, a little euphoric, especially with the SPE, Switchback Electric, SPAC, and merger, but that's over now. That's history now, and so in my opinion, an easy way to invest in chargers is simply by looking at something like this. You could invest in this kind of pie just by going to metkevin.com/chargers, and you'll be able to invest in exactly this. Now, I don't manage your money in this. It's just M1 Finance. It's just an idea. But this is an easy way, in my opinion, for me to get exposure to chargers. And now I did equal weight all of these, and I did include Tesla in here because Tesla does produce some of the most, as an individual company, DC superchargers. So I want to give some respect and shout out to Tesla as well. I also think, ironically, out of these, Tesla actually provides a little bit of stability because some of these other companies are a lot smaller or they've been public less long. And so ironically, even though Tesla's super volatile in the charging space, Tesla might actually provide some stability to this portfolio. So these are the names that I chose. We've got Blank, we got the TPG in here, we got the ChargePoint and so on in there. So take a peek at that. Next, we've got Plug. Okay, Plug. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a history with Plug. I made a video back in January about Plug Power, and people thought, well, let me just put it this way. Some people got a little upset with me because I said, look, the stock's at like 75 bucks. I think there's a good chance this could sell off as soon as institutional investors flip out of this. And I had some concerns about the valuation. In fact, here's a quick throwback to the clip. Maybe it makes sense to trade this stock now, whether you want to swing trade it or kind of social trade it. It is very possible that there could be a large rotation out of this stock at some point in the near term, and by near term I mean over the next year, which if you are planning on buying and holding this company, you potentially want to be prepared for like a QuantumScape kind of style slap where we get this insane run up and then we get this insane drop off. But in terms of valuation right now, it's it's got a lot of hope built into it. And I am slightly concerned that hope, trading at 322 times 2024 estimated earnings, That's a little pricey right now. Well, since I recorded that video, Plug Power is down over 55%. Since I filmed that video. Now, that's not to say that Plug is a bad stock. I still think it sells for a relatively rich multiple, and the arguments I made in that video are still true. So if you're really interested in Plug, I highly encourage you check out that video. But there's something that Joe Biden said that's very, very impactful. Joe Biden said he wants to lead America's future for sustainable energy towards electrifying vehicles and using hydrogen. And the fact that he said hydrogen in his 15-year plan is pretty impressive. That we were not expecting him to drop the H-bomb. And he did. He dropped the H-bomb. So the neat thing about this is stocks like Fuel Cell and Plug immediately reacted, and both of them ran up about 2 to 3% in the after hours. Not like a massive increase, but they both reacted to Joe Biden suggesting hydrogen. That's because obviously they both work with hydrogen-related products. However, I just want to give you a quick bottom line before mentioning that obviously you should go check out the Plug Power video I did in detail, where I talk about the Renault partnership, the French partnership with Plug Power, how Plug Power might be able to transition from the hydrogen forklifts and their business model now to a future of electrifying trucks. With hydrogen. Watch that, but I'm going to give you a bottom line here. I do, as much as I like Plug and Fuel Cell as maybe like social plays, that is, maybe a lot of people will buy these if we get more talk about hydrogen infrastructure. I think long run, they do still have rich valuations for what they are because the tech is just a little too early. Don't get me wrong, I love hydrogen, and I think these companies are going to be very well positioned when that hydrogen future comes. I'm just concerned that hydrogen is really going to be a 2030 to 2035 play, which means I'd rather pick these things up next time we have a crash around like 2027, 2028 or something like that. But these have moved on Joe Biden dropping the H-bomb. Another one that's pretty interesting is IDEX. So IDEX is one that I'm just really starting to learn about, and I personally hate looking at investor presentations because I feel like they're full of marketing and a bunch of BS, but I did pull up this investor presentation just to give me a brief idea of what the heck Ideanomics actually does, and they do a lot of stuff. Not only did they acquire a company that helps them basically do wireless charging for vehicles. Here, look at this, Wave. The only wireless charging truly addresses the market opportunity for autonomous vehicles. I mean, in some sense, they're not wrong about that, right? I mean, like, if the cars are autonomous, what are you gonna have? Like a robotic arm that comes out and plugs your car in? That, by the way, has actually been tested so far. And the answer might be yes, maybe. Maybe. But I could see that. Inductive charging, kind of like putting a toothbrush on a charger or your phone on a charging pad. Super simple. Bus could just drive over a charging pad, park there for a little bit and keep going. Makes sense. They've got, looks like they're getting into all electric tractors. Some people call this the John Deere of electricity. Electric mopeds. They've got cost-efficient new energy commercial vehicles, including let me not block this over here. The development of a new line of zero-emission heavy trucks and buses. Folks, remember what Joe Biden talks about. He talks about electrifying transit, electrifying buses, and even school buses, which we've got another play for school buses, which we'll talk about in a moment. But IDEX is going to be one that you're going to want to pay attention to. Now, in this video, I'm going to be very transparent about what I've invested in, what I have not. You saw the charger pie that I've invested in. I do not have money in Plug, Fuel Cell, or IDEX. But in the future, I could be open to investing in these. And obviously, if you're a course member, which this evening, and this is why I'm drinking coffee at 8 p.m. at night in California time, I'm pulling an all-nighter because I'm increasing the price of the courses. I said that I would do this last week, but the thought of spending 3 hours changing digits on a screen was a little intimidating to me. So I've been a little bit of a bum about that. Sorry about that. But I will be changing the pricing tonight, which does mean you can still use that coupon code tonight if you wanted to, before that pricing changes. But anywho, focus here, Kevin, focus. The next stock is QuantumScape. So QuantumScape is a battery, a solid-state battery manufacturer. I don't really want to call them manufacturing yet. They're really a lab. So think of the company QuantumScape as a lab that's designing and engineering and researching solid-state batteries. Solid-state batteries are going to be huge, not only for cars, lighter weight batteries, significantly lighter weight batteries, batteries that could charge faster, go longer, have longer lifespans as well. But solid-state batteries are also going to be huge for air transport. Think eVTOLs. Yeah, I mean, like, imagine having your coffee, hopping in a drone, and getting flown around, for a few hours, and maybe going California to New York on an eVTOL, which I don't know if we'll ever go that far, but if anything's gonna make it happen, folks, it'd be something solid state. And just saying solid state in the world of batteries, by the way, that's better than hot coffee at 8 p.m. at night. Like, that is such a buzzword. In fact, NEO, the share price of NEO skyrocketed just because when they had their NEO day, they talked about the potential for a pseudo solid state battery. It was like a part solid state battery. But just because everybody heard solid state battery, the share price like shot up. And so when people hear, hundreds of billions of dollars are gonna go from Biden's plan into research and development for battery manufacturing, people get excited about QuantumScape, which is one of the largest pure electric plays right now. I'm sorry, pure battery plays right now. Okay, next, then we also need components to go into batteries. And this is where companies like MP Materials have gotten a lot of attention. And MP Materials, I have to say, they absolutely crushed their last earnings, destroyed their last earnings. We covered their last earnings live, and they were so good. I'm still blown away by when I was looking at their income statement. I'm like, oh my gosh, how are these numbers possible? It was so impressive. Now, unfortunately, after that, the stock was green, but then the next 4 or 5 days thereafter, aka the last week here, the stock has kind of been selling off. And that could create an opportunity to get into something like an MP Materials a lot cheaper. So MP Materials is a potential supplier for components like lithium, could be plays to pay attention to. So definitely pay attention to, something like an MP Materials. Next, let's talk about this one that I think is going to be a little bit under the radar. Okay, so one that I think might be a little under the radar here is Palantir. Now, you might be wondering, wait, what? Palantir? Yeah, Palantir. And there's a special reason for this. In fact, I'm going to pull it up here on the infrastructure plan because I was a little shocked by this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the actual spreadsheet or flow chart that we did here, and you can read this section here, and then I want you to think about that for a moment. Look at this right here. Okay, so, and shout out, by the way, to a course member for connecting the dot on this one, what I'm about to reveal. Thank you, first of all, to all of those of you in the Stocks and Psychology of Money group who post your ideas and your connections. It's so fun to talk with you in there. I try to chat in there every single day, so it's super fun to talk. But anyway, take a look at this. So here it says $50 billion for Department of Commerce to create a new office to monitor domestic industrial capacity. Okay, so now you have to ask yourself, do you think that means Joe Biden's gonna have an office of people going, back to work today, hey, MP Materials, how many buckets of lithium you all mine today? Oh, that many, okay. I don't think we're gonna be looking at manual tracking for all of this industrial capacity. What I expect is a possibility is that manufacturers might be asked by the government to provide data on how many months of supply they have for certain things in their supply chains or materials or whatever, so that the government can kind of keep an eye on, okay, like, are we gonna have a shortage? Do we have any issues? Are we seeing any patterns? And it's actually a win-win situation because if the government can say, hey, yo, Ford, looks like we might have a chip shortage coming up in the next 2 months, businesses can better prepare, and that's actually a way of making the country more competitive. But businesses, like, it's not like Toyota's gonna wanna give that data to Ford. And this is a way that maybe the United States government can try to aggregate U.S. manufacturing data and make conclusions to actually give back to manufacturers. I mean, in theory, that is the role of government. How well they execute, I don't know. But that is, in theory, the role of government, the benefit of everyone, right? Ideally. But anyway, take a look at this, folks. Look at this. What is this, folks? Palantir. What does this say? This is nuts. Manufacturing. The most critical challenges facing manufacturers throughout the value chain are fundamentally data challenges. Supply chain, procurement, quality control, efficiency, rapid troubleshooting, and demand forecasting that basically depend on accurate and up-to-date data landscape. Well, where do you think you can get this up-to-date data from? And who might be able to compile all this? Well, how about the biggest company in the United States that already uses Palantir. The government. The government. Like, literally, this page right here defines what could be the perfect solution for the government's new office on exactly that. Look at this. A point-and-click analytical environment where users can monitor for and respond to disruptions on the production line. I mean, this is obviously more micro-scale to an actual factory, but imagine if you could monitor all supply chains throughout the country, right? This is pretty powerful, and I would not be shocked if the government could be involved in this in Palantir. Now, it's a stretch. It's speculation. You have to make your own conclusions on all of these. As usual, if you lose money and you paper hand and you sell out and you realize your losses, it's your fault, not mine. Okay, next, folks, Endphase, oh my gosh. Other than Tesla, which obviously I think in this we should just give the quick honorable mention here to Tesla. I made a video earlier about the Tesla ETF, and folks, I believe it, okay? Tesla is kind of like an ETF. I mean, remember, they do charging, they do batteries, they do car insurance, commercial vehicles, residential vehicles, solar panels, inverters, solar roofs, Bitcoin, mega packs for grids, automation, robo-taxis. Like, Tesla is like the duh in this list, right? I make standalone videos on Tesla all the freaking time. I'm not gonna go into deep on Tesla here, but obviously I have to mention Tesla. But aside from mentioning Tesla, Endphase, do not blind yourself to the real potential of Endphase. I was talking with some local solar installers just recently here within the last week, and folks, people who don't use Tesla, Endphase is like the #1 contender, and Endphase users and installers, they're like, Endphase quality blows Tesla out of the water. Now, I know anyone who invests in Tesla is gonna be like, nothing blows Tesla out of the water, you know what I'm saying about Tesla? I get it, obviously Tesla is my biggest position, it's like 50% of my portfolio, but Endphase is a big chunk. It's like 5 to 6% of my portfolio, and that's ordinarily a big piece of a portfolio. So Endphase makes very, very high quality. They don't make solar panels, but they make very, very high quality micro inverters that can individually monitor and control solar panels. Really important, especially if there's like partial shading in areas, like on a house from a tree or whatever. You don't lose production from the rest of the line. But also home battery packs, which is something that Biden wants to research and study and see more of. Biden, in one of the last stimulus packages, was instrumental in actually including a section that allocated a bunch of money for the government to study vehicle to grid and grid to house charging and sort of like these battery storage systems where you could use the battery from your car or the battery from like a whole house battery to help actually support potential stress on a grid to prevent what happened in Texas. So missing out on some of these battery plays, I think, is a mistake. And Endphase, if it's not Tesla, or maybe it's Tesla and Endphase has gotta be on your radar. And they're super high margin, super high quality products. Definitely a company that's growing like a weed as well. So don't ignore Endphase, really good one. Okay, then we've got NGA is the ticker symbol, but that is actually a SPAC, which SPACs have sold off a lot lately. I think NGA is gonna run right back to $20 and beyond. I think it's highly oversold right now. It tends to rubber band up to $20. NGA is an electric commercial vehicle manufacturer, but their advertising, at least, is very well known for this. Something that Biden has specifically talked about. I pulled up the share price here. It's at $16.50 in after hours. Electric school buses. Now, we don't know if we'll actually see these things come. Joe Biden has talked about electrifying school buses and electrifying buses. We would love to see that happen, obviously, in the EV community, but we'll see if it actually ends up happening. That's the big thing. But Lion Electric is one you want to pay attention to. What's this? I haven't actually seen this yet. Lion Electric scores its largest EV truck order to date. Lion 100, Lion 6, and Lion 8 trucks to be delivered in 2021, 2022 for Pride Group Enterprises. Who's that? Pride Group Enterprises. 100 electric trucks. That's really good. As we recall previously, the company announced a deal for 50 trucks for Canadian National Railway and 60 electric school buses. Very good precedent there, right, already. But who is this? Canada and US. Seems like Canada is really trying to kick our butt with the electric vehicles. Take a peek here. According to the line offer includes tractor, semi. Okay, got it. So to date, Lion Electric has delivered more than 300 electric vehicles in North America, and its manufacturing facility in Canada has the capacity to produce approximately 2,500 vehicles per year. Soon, the company intends to also build its own battery pack manufacturing plant in Quebec, and that's great. Now, I would love to see, okay, so this is, Pride Enterprises. So it looks like they lease and sell trucks. Let's see, how Pride Group is changing their trucking industry's reputation. Pride Enterprise Group, the trucking conglomerate, recently moved to establish a dealership. So they sell trucks, and they're buying 100 electric vehicles from Lion Electric to be able to resell them as part of their dealership network. That's what I'm understanding here. Now, I don't own any Lion Electric yet. Truck sales, leasing and financing, equipment, rentals, logistical service. So it seems like you might be able to even rent trucks from them. Pre-owned truck sales, tractor sales. Okay. Yeah, I do not own shares of Lion Electric yet, so some of this is new to me, but I just want to make it, I want to tell you about it first. I love everybody who follows the channel here. But I'm very interested in Lion Electric as one that I'm paying attention to, specifically because of the Biden administration. I'm sure many people are, but this is what we want to pay attention to. So we've got, this is sort of the pre-order, or the order we saw from Pride Group. Then we do have these buses, and then we do also have city buses as at least a proposed bus. It'd be so cool to talk to Lion. If somebody has a connection with Lion Electric and we can like talk to the CEO or something, that'd be freaking amazing. If somebody's got that connection, hit me up. Let's set that up. All right, next one. So, yeah, okay. Let me talk about this one in a moment because this one, the last one, makes me a little sad. So I'm gonna move up. We're gonna talk about a different one first. All right, the next one that we're gonna talk about is this cup of coffee here. No, it's 8:19. I had to take a sip of the coffee. All right, so Voyager Digital. Voyager Digital has nothing to do with the electrification of America. It is a cryptocurrency broker, essentially. You can go to, actually, metkevin.com/Voyager. I'm an affiliate with them, which means if you sign up there, you'll get $25 for free, and they send me a thank you as well. But they pay you interest on your cryptocurrency. So why am I talking about Voyager Digital, the stock, as part of this potential stock set to consider? Well, Voyager Digital, currently $26, ran up from $15 since my interview with the CEO of Voyager, whom, by the way, I've interviewed twice, and you can see those interviews on the channel here. Voyager Digital benefits from volatility in cryptocurrency prices, and they also pay you a good amount of interest on your cryptocurrency. There's obviously a risk with that. Anytime you're getting paid interest on something, you want to evaluate your risk. But Voyager Digital is interesting because with a massive package like this, a lot of folks believe there is going to be a lot of volatility in the pricing of things like Bitcoin. Volatility in cryptocurrency pricing equals profits for companies like Voyager. Voyager doesn't really care. I mean, I'm sure they do in some sense. Don't get me wrong. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt, but I think they're a little agnostic to price. So if the price of Bitcoin is 60,000, 90,000, or 30,000, it doesn't matter as much as people buying and selling it. And that's where Voyager is making a ton of money. They are killing it. Their revenues are going through the freaking roof. And I've got about 300K in this company. So, I'm just putting all my, potential biases on the table here. Obviously, there are risk factors. There's a lot of competition for a company like Voyager. I've been wanting to make a standalone video for this company. Maybe this weekend we'll do standalone videos for a lot of these companies. We do have a 3-day weekend coming up. But this is one to pay attention to as well. Okay, now, what about one to maybe not pay attention to as much? So I hate saying this because I feel bad, but look, first of all, all the electric vehicle space are probably going to rise with the tide. But I'm just concerned about Workhorse. I'm concerned about Workhorse because the Biden administration really screwed them and gave their USPS, like electrifying the USPS fleet contract, to Oshkosh, which is saying they're going to do some electric cars and the rest are going to be gas cars for the USPS. Or maybe they'll hybrid them. I was really disappointed by that I really hope that gets fixed, and it doesn't have to. I mean, it'd be cool if it went back to Workhorse. I don't think it will. Usually it's very, very sticky. Like once a contract is inked, getting that reversed, good luck. It ain't happening. It also sets up a bad precedent for the country to kind of like revoke a contract and give it to somebody else after they make a deal. So it's probably not going to happen. But so I wouldn't be hanging my hat on Workhorse for a potential reversal there. But I would be interested in, well, actually, no, I was going to say I might be interested in like Oshkosh, but no. I mean, maybe do your own research on what you think of Oshkosh and Workhorse. Both of them I'm just a little bit worried about, a little bit concerned about. And honestly, this whole thing with Biden kind of pulling the rug from Workhorse, whether it was his staff or administration or him directly, I have no idea. It doesn't matter. It was like the buck stops with him, right? He's the boss. He says we want to electrify the Postal Service. The people working for him didn't do that. That does also make me a little bit concerned for, let's be real, plays like Lion Electric. Do we think that school buses are actually going to electrify? Or is this just a cool idea? Are we actually going to see hydrogen, or did Biden just talk about something that might be a reality in 15 years but is nowhere close to even happening? So there are some major risk factors to consider in all of these. And out of all of them that I mentioned here, I invest in Endphase, Palleon, Tesla, Voyager Digital, and the charging pie. Probably my next plays that I'd consider putting some money into, maybe, okay, this is a big maybe, would be things like Lion Electric, IDEX. Quantum's a little too early for me. Hydrogen's a little too early for me. But maybe even, oh, that's disappointing. We'll go to a different camera then. Maybe even Lion Electric. Maybe. We'll see. But this, and honestly, actually even maybe MP Materials, because they've sold off quite a bit as well. So this just kind of gives you a more free-flowing discussion around my thoughts on stocks to play for the Biden infrastructure package. If you found this helpful, consider checking out the programs linked down below. I always appreciate you watching these videos, and folks, we'll see you in the next video.